Alright, so today what we're going to do is we're going to look at photos and we're going to plot them on a map. And to do this, your photos have to be geo-located enabled. So here I have a photo on my desktop. So if I click on this, it's going to open up, and this is a French fish house. And I believe that I took this when I was down in Tennessee. So if I close this out and I right click it, I go down here to properties and I go down here to details, and if I go down here, we have the longitude and latitude. So I want to extract that information out of the file so I can put it on a map. And in the end, what we're going to do is we're going to use Folium, and we are going to create a map like this, and each marker here is going to be a place where I took a picture. And we can sit there and zoom in if we want to get a deeper dive on exactly where that file was taking, where that photo was taking, and then we can, back up and we can see, where all the photos that we are taking are located at. So if that sounds good, just stay tuned. All right, so here we are. We're at the Jupyter Notebook. So if you want to follow along, we're going to sit there and code this. So the first thing we want to do is we want to import our glob, and this is going to allow us to loop through the files to pull out the information. We're also going to import OS because we're going to change path and change directory. Since we're working with the image and we showed you the lat and longitude of the image file, we're going to take the EXIF information, and then we're going to take that from the image package. I like to work with pandas, so that gives me kind of a spreadsheet functionality for my data. So I'm going to put that in there. Next thing I'm going to do, since we're going to work with a map, I'm going to use the Folium package. So we'll go ahead and import Folium. So once that's in there, we're just going to hit Shift Enter to run this. There's other ways to run. We can hit the run button. We go up here to cell, hit red cell, but I just hit Shift Enter just to run it. Just a shortcut for me. So now that we're here, we got all our packages loaded up. I want to look at the path. So the path is going to be, for me, I know my ones is in my C drive. It's going to be in my users, TC, I put in OneDrive, and then it's going to be pictures. So wherever your path is for your pictures, that's where you want to go. So if I look at this, for example, and I'll just copy this, and then I'll open up my pictures, and I'll bring this over here where you guys can see it. And I got several folders and subfolders of different photographs. So they're saved in different locations, but the OneDrive pictures is where I have all my directories at. So if I go to camera roll, I actually got it broken up into years, and I got it broken up in different months. So what I want to do is I want to get that root level path right here. And then since this is a Windows box, that's why we have the slashes going this way. And realistically, I would need to do double slashes all the way through like this to get it to read properly. But instead of doing that, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put an R right here, and then this allows me to read the slash marks as they are. For me, I prefer coding with the R in there, and that way I don't have to worry about the double slashes. So the next thing I want to do, I want to change my path. So I'm going to use the OS. I'm going to go to change directory, and then I'm going to put path. And then I'm going to run that, and what that's doing is that's actually changing to my path. So when I run my loop command with my glob, then it's going to read the users, TC, OneDrive pictures, and we're going to look through all those folders. So to do that, I'm just going to do for name in glob.glob, and I'm going to use my R, and then I'm going to do **/* to get all my file information. And then what I want to do is I want to make sure that I go through all the files, so I'm going to make it recursive. If I can recursive, and that's going to equals true. So once that happens, I put that up here and make sure it works right. I like to print it out, so I can print name. I don't need the quotes because it's a variable. So print my name out and then hit enter, and this is going through all my files right here. Those are my folders, and I go down here and then we start seeing the image files broken up. So I know that that's working. So what I want to do is I want to put that in a list. So I'm going to just name it my files equals, and I'm going to put the brackets up here. And then instead of print name, I can do my files. And what I want to do to my files are, well, I want to pin them. And then I'm going to pin the name. So when it goes through the loop, instead of printing these names out, it's going to put it in my files in a list. So I just hit Shift Enter, and now all my files in a list. And to test that, I can just do my files, and I run it, and then we have everything down here listed out in my files. All right. So the next thing we want to end up doing is we want to, and I'm going to take the my files because I don't really need that anymore. So we're going to make a list of added fields that we want in a data frame. So we're going to create a data frame, and so the way that I'm going to do it, I'm going to create an empty one, and I'm just going to paste this in here because I don't feel like typing all this out. So this is like my columns equals, and then here is all the files that I want to add it to a data frame. So to create that data frame, all I have to end up doing is go to DataFrame equals pd.dataframe, and then I do the columns equals my columns. So what that's going to do is it's going to create an empty data frame, and then it's going to pull in my columns up here. So if I run this, and then I go down here to my next cell, hit DF for my data frame, this is an empty data frame with all these already in there, all those fields. So now what I need to do is I need to go through my images. So what I want to do is I want to loop through those. So I'm going to do a for image in my files, because remember, my files is the list that we have up there. And I know that some of this will fail because I don't have all the columns in there, or maybe I come across a corrupt image. So what I'm end up going to do is I'm going to do a try, and then I'm going to try to open the image and with RB. I'm going to go over here and I'll just name it as source or screen. And then I'm going to put that up there. Now that I have that, I want my image to equal the image source. So put that in there. And then what I want to end up doing is I want to loop through my columns to figure out what that is. So I could do for columns in my columns, and then I can do that. So the problem with that is, let me think about that for a second. Okay, so if I do my cols, and I'm just going to show you this really quick, we have all that information there in my cols. Well, I'm not really pulling the file location um, out of this image in these columns. I'm going to pull that from somewhere else. So what I think I'll end up doing is up here, I'm just going to do file equals. That way I get the image name. So I don't need that out of my list down here. So I can do my brackets here, put a colon in here. And since I don't need that first one, I'm just going to say start at index 1. And now, if Shift Enter, you notice I don't have that file location here. I also don't need this flag, and I'm going to use that flag as a boolean later on to remove the data points that don't have a lat and long in here. So what's going to happen is I don't really need those right now. So I'm going to say I don't want to see the last 3. And now, if I run that, now I have the data set that I actually want to loop through. So I'm going to take this, my columns up here, and just type it in as 1 and then a -3. And that way I'm just looping through the ones I want. So now I'm going to do another try command because I want to try it out. And I'm going to do the df, and I'm going to actually lock my data frame if I can have the index, right? So I'm going to have my index as I, comma, and then my col, and that way I'm going to write to the right index. And then I'm going to equals the img, and I'm going to do the col up there. And that way when I loop through, it's going to take the column name, so it's going to be the reference, the latitude, the longitude reference, longitude, altitude reference, timestamp, and it's going to keep looping through that and updating this based off of that index. Well, since I'm really looping through a list, I don't really have an index. So what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to create one. I'm just going to hit I equals 0 up here. And then down here at the end of my code, I will like add 1 to it, and I'll just iterate through it. So knowing that, since we have our try done, I'm going to do accept, and then so if it doesn't work, I'm just going to pass, and it's going to continue through my loop. So the next thing that we have to do is I have another try statement up there. So I just want to go back and hit accept, right? And then if it goes through that, what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to pass on that data set. So after I pass that, the only thing else that we have is we still have to go through and add our +1. So going through here, I'm going to put that in there, and let me make sure that I line everything up correctly, because it's going to be in that for statement in there. I'm actually going to bring it out and keep it in the with statement, and I'm just going to do I equals I +1, and that should pretty much cover it, and I should be able to update those. So I'm going to hit Shift Enter, and I'm actually going to run this and make sure that everything works correctly. And it has my files not defined. So why is that? Why is my files not defined? Oh, okay, I see what it is. I named it my files up here. I have a capitalized right there. So I hit put my files, just fix the capitalization, and run it. And what this is going to do is going to run through my files, and it's going to update, and I'll show you the data frame when it completes. Alright, so now that we have this run, we go down, and if you notice, it did pop up this warning, and that's because I knew I had a bad file in that folder structure. But that's why we did the try and accept, just to show you that you can just pass on those bad files. So going down here, I want to look at my data frame, and I hit enter. And so we have our lats, we have our longs. And what we notice here is that I don't have the file location. So let me see what happened here. Okay. So like up here, we just renamed the file equals image. That's not exactly what we wanted to do. What we wanted to do is we want to do the data frame and we want to lock it. And then we want to have the file like up here as a variable. So we did name it file location in our data frame. So we probably should change this to file location up here. And then we'll put it there in the quotes, close that. And then we have to make sure that we write to the right index. And that should fix it. Then we should have the file locations all set up. So let's go ahead and rerun that. And then we'll look at the data frame where that is done running. Alright, so now that's running. I'm just going to run my DF again to look at it. And now I have what picture it's pulling with the coordinates, which is what I want. So I do need to change these latitudes and these longitudes into degree decimals. So what I'm going to do is, and I got this part offline, or online I mean, but I got it from the medium spatial data science, and then this is the function of the formula, like right here. And what this is going to do is it's going to turn the current latitude and longitude into decimal coordinations. So I'm just going to run that to put that in memory, and then I'm going to come down here, and now what I want to do is I want to take, if I just look at the beginning of my data frame here, I just got 734, 1060, 1082 from my index. So what I want to do is I want to reset my index, and I'm just going to do my data frame equals, and I'm just going to hit enter. And now if I look at my data frame, I got the index of 0, 1, 2, and so forth is what I wanted to do. So what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to take my data frame and I'm going to loop through it, and I'm going to do in my data frame, and if I spell it, I already misspelled rows for some reason. I think it's 2 R's. I'm not 3 rows. And then I can just, print the row to kind of show that I have all those in there. But that's not really what I want to do. What I end up wanting to do with this is I want to get the grid coordinates out, and since I have this function up here already, I'm going to, I know that they all should have the grid coordinates, but if not, I'm just going to do my try statements again. I'm going to do the lock, and then it's going to be the I, and then I'm going to do the lat first, so that was dd underscore lat. And then what I want to end up doing is that's decimal chords equals, sorry, that's going to be the image, no, so that's already the row, so that's going to be a row, and that's going to be the GPS underscore latitude. And then that's going to pass into the coordinates section right here. And for the reference, what I'm going to need is I'm going to put a comma here, and then that's going to be my row, and that's going to be my GPS underscore latitude underscore reference. And that's going to be the quotes here. So that looks right. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to copy that, come down here, and then I'm going to do the long. So instead of latitude, we're going to put in longitude, longitude, and just so I don't have to type that again, put it right there. And then, just like before, in case of errors, I'm going to pass, and I'm going to run this really quick. And then once that's run, I'm going to just double check and make sure my data frame's right. And if I go down here and look, you see I have some nans in here, which is fine for now. But I go over here to the right, and my lat and my longs are not there. But why? Why is that? So let me go up here to check this out, because I locked my lats, I put my latitude, I put the longitude, so latitude, longitude, I should have that. Oh, because I have the I up here for the index, so this should be the IDX, because it's IDX and IDX. So we have IDX, and I'm just going to run that. And then we're going to go over here and hit DF, and now when I look at it, I'll have my lats and my longs all in there. And notice I have this flag up here. And the way that I'm going to handle the flag is that if we have it up here, and I'm going to declare my flag, so I'm going to do DF, and I'm going to do the flag, and then I'm going to set all my flags to false. So this is going to make all my flags in my data frame set to false. Now, when I come down here and I look at this, I only want I want to change the lock into the IDX, and I want to change the flag, right, to true only if it has that lat and the longitude. So I do that, and then that's going to run, and then I'm going to look at this, and now if I go down here, we have it true for the ones that has a lat long, false on the ones that don't. This was just this one right here was just a mess up from before, but so that's right, that's false. And that's because I didn't have the index set properly on the first one. But now that I have it set right, we're good to go. So now what I want to do is I want to change this, and I want the flag, and I want to equals true. So I only want to bring back the true records. So if I run this, it's just going to show true and false down my data frame. So to get the whole data frame, what I need to do is I want to put the DF in front of that, and I want to run it. Now it's only going to bring back the true statements and what's true going all the way down. So we're good there. And now I'm just going to call my data frame that right there, and then I'm just going to copy this index and reset the index, just make sure that it's straight. And looking at this, I probably should have done the in place equals true just to get rid of these two, but they're not hurting anything. I'll clean that up later. So the next thing that we want to end up doing here is to actually map this out. So to create a map, what we're going to end up doing is I'm going to make it my map, and then we're going to use the Folium package. So Folium.map, and then I'm going to add points to the map, so I can do for the IDX row in DF, and then I'm just going to copy this because I say I misspell this all the time. So I'm just going to sit there and put that there, and then I want the marker in here, so Folium dot marker, and then what we're going to mark is we have the row, we have the DD underscore lat, and then we'll put the quotes around there. Then we'll do the longitude, so we'll do the row, and then we'll do the DD underscore LON. And then what we need to do is, this should be brackets completely around that. And that way we're going to lat long properly. And we need to add that to the map. Alright? And that's going to be my map. And then once we have that in there, we're going to have to display my map. Right? So that's going to be my map. Now there's parameters that we can put in here, like location, and so we can put grid coordinates in the Folium my map to kind of narrow it down to one area, but I just want to show the entire map, so I don't have that set. And then you can change to different types of maps, but it defaults to OpenStreetMap. But you can go to the Folium website and then just kind of look up what parameters we can put in here. But to run this, I just hit enter here, and now we go down here and I scroll down and we see that everything that I took pictures at is mapped out. So we can sit there and scroll in here. There we go. Kind of zoomed in a little bit too far. I had a little bit of lag in here. I guess still loading, but we'll just go back over here to the United States, and we'll see all those maps, locations on places I've been. If we scroll in, so let me look up here. I'm going to look at the Niagara Falls area, and then we can sit there and zoom in right here. And let me go find it. There we are. And I'll zoom in some more. Move it down. Zoom in, zoom in. And then you see how there's some markers on top of markers. So that's what it is. So if I keep zooming, I'll go closer down on the map and zoom in farther. I can use my mouse wheel, and then it starts seeing different places, right? So if we look at it down here by the Cave of the Winds, I took several photos, as you can tell, and that's pretty much it. So going back and looking at the code now, we have, like 1, 2, 3, like 4 different types of loops in here. We can really rewrite this to make it into one loop. The reason I did it this way, I just want to show you how I go about and try to code stuff. I try to get things to work, and then once it's working the way that I want to, I always go back and clean up the code, and then I'll make it more efficient. But if you want to see the final copy of it, I'll go ahead and throw it on GitLab, and the description, well, not the description, the GitLab repo, where I have it at will be in the description below. So that's pretty much it.
All right. So if you made it this far, thank you. Please like and subscribe. I got my final code written. So if you look at it, the top part's pretty much the same. Down here, I just combined and made this like one big loop to go through the folders. This way it's less resource intensive. And then down here, we see that we still have the map. It's still working. It's still functional. And then down here, if I just want to look at the ones that came back with the grid coordinates, I can have those right here. So everything's working as it should. So like I said, this will be on GitLab. So please like and subscribe. And hopefully I'll see you in other videos.